Bitcoin just dropped below the 50 weekly moving average trend line, and that is going with the fact that the market is now in extreme fear, and that is why I personally do want to be buying. So that is why I opened a major Bitcoin trading position, and also I still have 2 limit orders open. I will give a big update on that, also on my Ethereum trading position, and we will take a deep dive into all of the most important Bitcoin charts, the most important support and resistance levels I'm currently watching, and we will take a deep dive into what's Ethereum and the upcoming potential altcoin season. So from there, guys, make sure to first of all subscribe to the channel and watch and like my latest YouTube videos, and then we can dive into the most important content. Since the market is now in extreme fear, and that is going to be the moment where I do want to be buying, because we've seen it every single time this bull market. Once the market turns into extreme fear, it is usually a good buy opportunity, because every single time we do see major bounces back to the upside after such a period in the market. And this also exactly corresponds with the 50 weekly moving average trend line, which is of course a very important level where Bitcoin has been bouncing from in the past. And usually the retests of these levels always do come with a lot of fear, exactly like what's happening once again now for Bitcoin. So that is why I do think this is a very interesting level to open a trading position. But I do want to be very clear, since we are at the ending stage of the 4-year cycle, it is indeed a risky trading position I'm currently taking, because we also have the possibility that, like in 2021, we drop below the 50 weekly, we confirm a few weekly closes, and then we enter a bear market. But something in my sentence here is very important, and that is if we confirm weekly closes, if we confirm weekly candles. As long as Bitcoin is not going to confirm weekly candles, and now we are actually bouncing back ever so slightly, I think this could turn out as a major liquidity grab like we have seen a few times before, and the only way you're going to know for certain is seeing if Bitcoin is going to close the weekly candles below the 50 weekly moving average. So that is what I'm currently looking at, and that is also exactly what I will be basing my trades on. And if my thesis is going to be different in the near future, it is going to be because of the 50 weekly moving average and the weekly close under it. So let's see how that's going to develop. But now, after Bitcoin fell below the 100k level, which we have been expecting on the channel, we discussed this level a lot and a lot of times. Now we are bouncing ever so slightly back, and if you could see a reclaim of the 50 weekly here, it is going to be very bullish in my personal opinion. So let's see about exactly that. The chart we have been drawing out yesterday, but also in yesterday evening's live stream, has been perfectly playing out, because we looked into the fact how deep Bitcoin grabbed the liquidity below the 50 weekly moving average and the previous dumps basically, and there we saw some important stuff, and that is that usually it is mostly about a 3% dump to the downside here. And if you draw that into the most important support and resistance levels for Bitcoin, we can see that this is indeed our area and zone of interest, and 3 of my limit orders are laying in this area. So that is why this is indeed a very interesting area. And I also have the 93k level, which I'm still watching. If Bitcoin is going to grab more liquidity ever so slightly lower, then it is going to be very interesting to see where we will be heading next. And then something very interesting for Bitcoin is that a lot of long liquidity was wiped out in the dump of yesterday. So most of the liquidity is now stacking up at the top side for Bitcoin, and that is going to be a very interesting setup to see and Bitcoin bounce back up. I'm not saying Bitcoin has to hit new all-time highs, but what I do think is that Bitcoin is going to be able to make a bounce back up to this important resistance level. And if we could be breaking that, yes, then Bitcoin could be moving towards the range highs. So it is looking very interesting for Bitcoin, and that most of the liquidity is now stacking up at the top side is going to be a bullish signal in my opinion, because most of the long liquidity has been taken out. Also, I'm eyeing this major support level, and that is why I've opened basically the 93k limit order, which is somewhat of a lower limit order indeed. I don't necessarily think Bitcoin has to fall to these levels, but I think it is an important support level just in case it's going to happen. It's indeed going to correspond with about the 93k level if we grab some liquidity under it, and then we could also find some support at this exact level. But like I said, I don't necessarily think this has to happen, but I do want to point this level out just in case, and that would mean that we drop ever so slightly lower and then start heading higher. Just keep this level in mind also, but of course I do think the 50 weekly is going to be much more important. Now I do want to talk about that Bitcoin trading position I'm taking in, because yesterday I got filled on 2 orders. I got filled on my 103 and 100k limit orders. 103k in a slight loss now, 100k in somewhat of a profit of course, but it was filled yesterday, so we did not have that much time to see yet. But yes, I'm happy that 2 limit orders got filled here. I have 2 more limit orders open at the 93 and 98k level, so I'm very excited to see how this is going to be heading next. I will keep you guys up to date here on the channel, but also in the private Telegram group, because here I have been sharing this all the way back into the morning for me doing my morning research. I was talking about my limit orders, which one got filled, the most important charts like the weekly close below the 50 weekly moving average and this important RSI level, because not only we are now at the 50 weekly, but also if you look in the RSI, we are at a very important support level for this entire bull market basically. So are we going to hold is the big question. Looking at the RSI also, very important chart. But back to the trades, yes, I have been updating about these in the private Telegram group, so make sure to come and check it out if you do want updates in real time about this trading position, because I don't know how long I will keep these orders open. It's all going to depend on the kind of bounce we are going to see on the weekly close we are, for example, going to see. So this could also be somewhat of a shorter term trade, and in that case you do want to get updated in real time, I personally think, and then you can join the private group with the link in the description on this update video. So make sure to come and check it out. Of course, in no way financial advice. My Ethereum trading position is a little bit of a different story. Of course, you guys know about my other account. I'm always fully transparent, and the other account is now in about a 4k loss. But unfortunately, I could not open limit orders because my account is glitched or something, and from off my current location, I can't open any trades. So that is definitely awful. But on the other hand, I just took a new account. I just deposited 1k into it to just show what my levels of interest are for ETH, just so you guys know. And if the other account gets back, I will be adding more there, because actually I just deposited another 10k to the other account, but I can't use it at the current moment, which is very frustrating. But these are my limit orders, 3.2, 3.1 and the 3k level basically. I'm a little bit late with these orders now, but yeah, let's see if it could still be playing out here. And I do want to be adding more Ethereum here at the lower side, because I do think it is going to be paying off in the end. But also about this, I will keep you guys up to date in the VIP group and also on the YouTube channel. If you do want to start trading on LBANK, make sure to come over here. You can trade Bitcoin, Ethereum and a lot of different altcoin pairs. And also during this dip, you can claim a 20% deposit bonus, which you do want to be doing during the dip and not in the move higher. That's important. You don't want to be FOMOing in. This is going to be the moment where you do want to accumulate. If you still believe in the bull market, you do want to be accumulate during the fair, at support at all of these important metrics and levels, also like stated with the RSI. So make sure to come and check it out if you're getting interested in that. Of course, in no way financial advice. Make sure to do your own research. Now I do want to dive into the Ethereum charts, because Ethereum is looking very interesting, because it grabbed some liquidity at the lower side below the 50 weekly moving average even, but from there it saw quite an aggressive bounce back up, which is looking very interesting because it is indeed different than what Bitcoin is currently showing. So maybe Ethereum does have a little bit more strength left, but also the move to the downside was bigger in perspective, I personally think. Ethereum also hitting these lows on the stock RSI. We could see a bearish or a bullish crossover in the near future here, which could be sending a stock RSI back up and initiating a final Ethereum wave. Let's see about exactly that, but we do know the stock RSI hitting these ultimate lows is always a major bottoming signal in the market, or a signal that indeed a bottom is coming very close, like we saw with the tariffs, for example. So let's see how that's going to continue and develop for Ethereum. We also drawed out this Ethereum chart yesterday, and it perfectly played out just like we did with Bitcoin. Basically all of our levels have been getting hit, so it's very unfortunate that I could not place my limit orders on Ethereum, but I hope some of you guys still did so. Our Ethereum trading position here, we came back to exactly this level what we had been drawing out. I gave you guys two scenarios, or somewhat of a quicker bounce at this exact level, or indeed a drop lower to about a 3k level where we have some historical price data, and from up there a bounce back up higher, and that is exactly what happened. And now we are facing this previous support level as new resistance where Ethereum is now grinding against on. So Let's see how this is going to develop for ETH, but our levels have been perfectly playing out, and I think in this range we could maybe see some consolidation from off here. Ethereum versus Bitcoin get rejected from this big resistance level like we talked about in the video yesterday. I think Ethereum versus Bitcoin is still going to be able to pull off a move higher towards a new high for this cycle with diminishing returns in mind, but this resistance level is going to be a very important one to be breaking, and I think now first of all some liquidity is going to flow back into Bitcoin to also support its price action and to basically save the bull market, and after that we can start looking more into the Ethereum, Bitcoin and the others, the altcoins versus Bitcoin charts once again. So yeah, let's see. Here Ethereum, my price targets remain the same. I think if this bull market is not going to be over, if Bitcoin is going to be bouncing, then in that case Ethereum is going to make new all-time highs at the 1.6.8 and second Fibonacci levels, which we have been targeting for quite a long time, and which I'm targeting with this Ethereum trade, but also on the other account. But of course we do want to see Bitcoin bouncing first, which is actually happening now because Bitcoin is back at the 102k level, 103k now actually, so that is looking very interesting. And then back to the charts, we have the Bitcoin dominance, which has been only moving higher lately. I think the Bitcoin dominance could be moving higher in the near future still, because like stated, I think liquidity will flow back into Bitcoin to save the bull market. That means Bitcoin dominance is going to be heading higher, and altcoins will likely bleed even more in the upcoming period before we could see a seasonal period of outperformance, which could align with, for example, QT ending at in December the 1st. So I think this month could still be kind of bad for altcoins, and December is maybe going to be somewhat of the starting point, but a lot of uncertainty. Let's see about all this stuff, and I will just keep you guys up to date on the channel. And that was also it for today's update video. If you did enjoy this update video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, come over and watch and like my latest YouTube videos, and then I will see you guys in my next update video tomorrow, or in the live stream from of this evening, where the Supreme Court is going to rule over the tariffs, and that is yet again another big event. So make sure to come and watch this later.